Nancy continues, I do not want to possibly blow up the line, but at the same time I want to get my ducks in a row and present this to the federal agencies, not cast, not if they could simply be dupes. What she means by blow up the line, I have no clue, nor when she says I want to get my ducks in a row, I likewise have no clue. I don't know what her ducks are. The way she has communicated to me and the way she talks in cliches or idioms like this, there's an unclarity to it. Plus, she had been very irresponsible in my view regarding what she knew and regarding leading me into becoming a client of that organization and essentially a client of herself because she pre-screened me. Anyway, I don't know what she meant by I want to get my ducks in a row, etc. If I knew what her ducks were, I think I could have a clue, but I don't. I do not agree that it's a matter of presenting this to the federal agencies instead of cast. Both of them, plus the general public, plus Scientology, everywhere in the world, other countries should know about this. And she continues, but Gerry, I saw the fear on the other people in the waiting room, and I do want to make them think that what they thought, I guess, was safety isn't truly. Okay, that's again confusing, but I understand there's an image of a bunch of people in a waiting room, and the waiting room is where they are being processed in order to obtain services from caste. And this is an image which has stuck with me throughout a period here as I've been dealing with it. I really didn't know from this, I imagined like a waiting room like you might see at the DMV or something like that, with dozens and dozens of people. You're looking around and here are these poor victims, dozens and dozens of them. But I really didn't know, but that was an image which stuck in my mind, even though, she might not have communicated everything clearly. And then she says if there were plants in them, I would want them to go to jail. Now, that's a really odd thing to say. I don't know why the plants would want to be in the waiting room. Well, that's sort of funny. But yeah, I mean, if the waiting room filled up with ex-Sea Org members, the idea that there would not be plants among them, would be ridiculous. It's like if the LMT had like a dozen people show up at its waiting room and they just escaped from the Sea Org. I would think that the cult would want to have plants right there, real quick. But in any case, it's nice that she would want them to go to jail. She continues, so please do not put anything on the internet about this group or start speaking public. There is more value in Scientology thinking they are nicely ensconced in the Coalition on Human Rights, only to be outed as a plant group with a public dismissal for human rights violations. Okay, I think that there isn't more value. There's no value at all in waiting. As soon as you wait in a situation like this, then there's the apparentness that you're running some kind of covert op on them. And that's not the case, and it makes no sense to do anything but expose them at this point. And not only this point, but when I originally exposed them. And I ended up exposing them originally, I believe, before I received Nancy's email here. around the same time, but in any case, I think they crossed. I would have listened to reason, but I wasn't getting reason as it turned out. And so it was completely the right decision. And throughout this, I've tried to make sure our information is accurate, and I have not seen where any, significance or relevance has been refuted. I think that Caroline's and my facts and opinions have been accurate throughout. It is wrong for me to follow Nancy's lead or accede to her request there to not speak publicly. She should not have asked, and it's a ridiculous thing to ask of me. There isn't more value in Scientology thinking they are nicely ensconced, only to be outed as a plant group. Look, they're outed now. Whatever they were doing at the time, that's it. Certain cards are appearing on the table. Scientology has to respond. Everybody has to lay their cards on the table, government included. Nancy continues, there are only 3 people besides you and I who know the name of this group. That's simply not true. The organization makes itself available. They do not hide the name of the group. It is a public name. They make themselves public. Their defense of attending an event with Scientology was to make their name known. So the idea that there are only 3 people besides me and I, so a total of 5, who know the name of the group, that's simply not true. Okay, I have only given 2 people on the lawyers' lines. She doesn't say who the lawyers are. Myself and 1 other woman, and we qualified without even having to give 1/3 of the Scientology abuses. What does that mean? That's like someone shows up, wow, and they're taking a debrief from her. Let's say she was a Guatemalan child prostitute, and she escapes from the Guatemalan crime ring, the human trafficking ring, and she goes to caste, and she would qualify for their service. And they don't want to hear about 2/3 of the abuses that she underwent, of the reality of it. They shut her down. Qualified. Okay. She continues, over the weekend, can you help me with a link I think must exist to another Scientology front group and a link to the Freedom Mag article? I did do that because I let her know that it was published, and I know that she's on these boards. So I was already publishing or in the process just because of what I had already discovered, the connections I discovered. That was sufficient. And at that point, it really had to do with getting those people who should be investigating this all the evidence that they should have to investigate it. She continues, I will do my due diligence this weekend, and it will be my first phone call. This may be one of the things the feds already know about, but are missing proof to get a warrant. We don't know yet. Maybe if someone decided that this is a criminal operation which would justify getting a warrant, I'm not making that claim. That's not the issue here. These things need to be exposed. If through the expose, more comes out, and if they get a warrant, that would be totally fine. I think that they should, but that's not what's necessary here for the exposure of what we do know. She says, keep in touch, love you, Nancy. And as I said, I had already posted something, or was about to, but in any case, this communication from Nancy and me crossed.